Good evening to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today, before I start the session, I would like to tell you guys I have brought exam topics. I have brought exam topics related to error location, para jumble, and idioms. But we'll start with editorial vocabulary. At the fag end of the session, we'll work on questions based on exam topics. Today, not too many words, 13 words, but many of these words are not difficult. The very first one goes with everyday English. What is the first word here? Scrap. We all know the word scrap as a noun, unwanted material, waste material, scrap. But in the context of the editorial, it has been used as a verb. As a verb, scrap means not to continue with a system or plan, not to continue with a system or cancel. Here we can also think of the word cancel a system, scrap the policy, scrap the system. Regime we have got many a time, but regime has got two different meanings. One meaning of regime, current government, literally it says authoritative, need not be. Current government regime. But what is the second meaning? A system or ordered way of doing things. A regime means system. Remember that way. Second meaning. Demarcate, part of speech verb, set the boundaries or limits of something. You demarcate something means what? You set the boundaries or the limits of something. Adage, an important word, part of speech noun. Generally, we say proverb. I'm sure you all know the word proverb, but here synonym, adage, something which people often say and which expresses a general truth about some aspect of life. For example, demarcate, but these words are different. Limit, curb, curtail, they are different. Demarcate, rather different. But I appreciate, still I appreciate. Adage, all that glitters is not gold. Adage or proverb. And when we say adage, saying, you can also use a word. Someone has added one more word. That is also a good word you have to remember. Who is that? Anusha. Okay, good. Negate, you all know the word negative. Negate, part of speech verb. Make ineffective or nullify. If you remember, yes, the other day we got null and void, null, and make something invalid. Here, related words, in a way, synonyms, make something ineffective or invalid or nullify or make someone null and void. Insurgency, noun form, insurgent, adjective. An occasion when a group of people attempt to take control of the country by force. A particular country, some disturbance, then a group of people try to take control, then we say insurgency group and insurgent adjective. Vociferously, fervently, in a way, both mean the same. Vehemently. Vehemently means a strongly, but subtle difference. What is the difference? Vociferously, expressing or characterized by vehement opinions, means strong opinions, loud and forceful. Loud and forceful. Look at the connotation. On the other hand, with great intensity of spirit, feeling, enthusiasm, positive connotation, but still strong, very strong, vehemently. This goes more with a negative connotation, vociferously protest, and do something fervently means what? With a lot of enthusiasm. Porous, adjective form, porosity, noun. The quality of being porous or full of tiny holes. Something has tiny holes and things can pass through. Porous in nature. In this context, it goes with a border. Imagine there's a border between two countries. People can move from that side to this side, can go from this side to that side. Then we say porous border. It goes with border in this context. Sparsely, we have got many a time part of speech adverb in a thinly distributed way, not thickly or densely. Densely opposite sparsely. Densely populated, sparsely populated. It can be used as an adjective. Throws, an important word we have got for the first time, at least in the recent past. What does it mean? Experiencing or doing something that is difficult, unpleasant, or painful. In a way, you can remember throws means the problems, hardships, difficulties. Humongous, an important word, though we have got many a time. Yes. Humongous, part of speech adjective. Extremely large. Humongous means what? Extremely large. The last word, rugged. How do you pronounce this? Rugged. It goes with landscapes, mountains. It also goes with people. A rough person. Irregularity, more than that, a roughness of land surface. Someone looks very rough, then we say rugged look with beard and very tough looks. We say rugged look. It also goes with persons. Mammoth, colossal, huge, enormous, all the words you can recollect. Wonderful. I appreciate your responses. Keep doing that. Now we'll ask the question, what is this editorial about? This editorial discusses the decision to scrap something. It discusses a particular decision. What is the decision to scrap something? Scrap what? Free movement regime. In this context, regime means a system. Free movement system along the border, across the border, between India and Myanmar, particularly in the context of the bordering states in India. Bordering states like Nagaland, Mizoram, Manipur, all these states. But what is the tone of the editorial? Because the editorial does not approve scrapping free movement regime, it takes a critical and definitely negative tone. The tone of the editorial is critical and disapproving. The editorial does not approve the idea of scrapping free movement regime. Now we'll see how it starts. Misplaced priorities on the scrapping of the free movement regime between India and Myanmar. It's all about scrapping something. Scrapping what? The free movement regime or the free movement system between two countries. What are the two countries? India and Myanmar. But what is the main idea of this editorial? The free movement regime between India and Myanmar had more benefits than costs. More benefits than costs. That means something positive. And when you cancel, scrap something positive, obviously, no one appreciates. This is the main idea. A nation is defined. Here, some terms go with Indian polity, general polity also. Polity means a political system. A nation is defined not by the borders that demarcate it, but by the people who live in it. How do you define a nation? The editorial says a nation is not defined by the borders that demarcate it. No, but by the people who live in it. We always define a nation by the people who live in it rather than by the borders that demarcate that particular country. This is not just an abstract adage. This is a popular saying. A nation is defined by not by borders but by people. This is not just an abstract adage. Abstract, what is the opposite word? Concrete. Concrete means what? Something you can see or touch. Abstract, you cannot see or touch. This is not just an abstract adage, but a vision of nation building and sustenance. It is not just an adage, it is a vision. Vision means your something you dream of something that is your vision of nation building and sustenance. If you guys remember the other day we got the word sustain. Sustain means what? Delineate, define. So many words you guys have been writing, commenting. That's wonderful. Adding rather, value addition. Sustain means a maintain. Sustenance is the same meaning, another word form. This is not just an abstract adage, but a vision of nation building and sustenance, especially for a country that emerged out of colonial rule. Which country emerged out of colonial rule? India. It refers to India. So when it comes to India, which has just not just but which has emerged out of colonial rule, what is important? The vision of nation building and sustenance, very important. The idea of neighborly relations and borders was tied not just to the interest of national security for the post colonial nation state, but also not only, where do you have not only, not just to the interest of national security for the post-colonial nation state, but also to the interest of the people in border areas and the imagined histories. This talks about the borders, the idea of neighborly relations, two things, neighborly relations and borders was tied not just to the interest of national security. Why is this national security important in this context? Whenever there is a border, obviously security becomes very important, crucial, or vital. It says borders was tied not just to the interest of national security for the post-colonial nation state. An important expression, nation state, means a sovereign country. What is the meaning of sovereign? India is a sovereign nation state, sovereign country. What does it mean? Not controlled by any country, any other country. Independent, not controlled by any other country. Not just to the interest of national security for the post colonial nation state, but also to the interests of the people in border areas and the imagined histories. There are two things over here. When it comes to a border, two things are important. One is security, keeping the sovereignty of the nation state. Security is very important. And the second one, the people. People who live along the borders, they may share some ethnic ties with the people of neighboring country, or there may be some sort of kinship. So people in border areas and the imagined histories, the interests of the people in border areas and the imagined histories, both important. When Home Minister Amit Shah announced that the free movement regime in place in Indian states bordering Myanmar from 2018 would be scrapped. Here announced, the reporting verb is in past. Based on that, will changes to would. When Home Minister Amit Shah announced that the free movement regime FMR in place in Indian states bordering Myanmar from 2018 would be scrapped and that the India Myanmar border be fenced, he was decidedly negating this idea. A lengthy sentence, but it talks about the same thing, scrapping the free movement regime. And besides that, one is scrapping the free movement regime, and the other dimension, fence along the border. That is an uphill task, fencing the border. But these reasons are not convincing in themselves. Now, what happens here? The editorial takes a stand. What is the stand taken by the editorial? But these reasons are not convincing in themselves. Here it is a reflexive pronoun or emphatic pronoun. They have the same forms. Why? When the editorial makes a statement, it tries to justify. What is a justification? Most insurgent groups have weakened, present perfect, substantially, considerably, and successive Indian governments have been able to neutralize their threats through force or peace efforts, ongoing or completed. This talks about the insurgent groups. When it comes to the border, insurgency, insurgent groups, very important. The sentence says the stand taken by the government, the factors, the reasons not convincing. Why are they not convincing? If the insurgent groups are active, then it makes sense. But here it says most insurgent groups have weakened substantially, considerably, and successive Indian governments have been able to neutralize their threats, means bring down or remove through by using two methods, one through force or peace efforts, either ongoing or completed. So there is no need of scrapping the free movement regime. But these reasons are not convincing in themselves. I'm sorry. Besides, one more dimension. In addition, the drug trade is enabled not only by the border's porosity, but also, not only, but also. This is something very important. I would like to. I usually tell students when students come across, but also they think of not only, or they come across not only, they think of but also. But look at this one. The idea of neighborly relations and borders was tied not just to the interest of national security for the post-colonial nation state, but also. Here you have but also, but here you don't have not only. That you have to be very careful. Please listen very carefully. Exam point of view, students learn a few rules and they go with the fixed ideas. Morning also I was telling, when you learn rules, do remember rules are there are exceptions for the rules. What is a rule? When we use not only, we have to use but also. This goes with parallel expression. But based on the context, based on the sentence pattern, you don't have to use every time, not only but also. This is one example. Not just the writer is trying to emphasize, not just to the interest of national security for the post colonial nation state, but also to the interest. Here, nothing wrong with the sentence. Imagine the same sentence is given in the exam. I'm sure 99.9% the candidates will say there's an error, but there's nothing wrong with this sentence. This is something you have to remember. Now, going to the what I was reading here, but these reasons are not convincing in themselves, I think have read out. Besides, that drug trade is enabled, here we have not only by the border's porosity, but also it all depends on the sentence pattern, the context. So you got to be very careful. It says, in addition to that, the drug trade, drug trafficking is enabled not only by the border's porous nature or porosity, but also by the relative lack of strong law enforcement with the cooperation of residents. The problem here, one of the problems, lack of strong law enforcement. Enforcement is a problem, lack of strong law enforcement. And based on that, the editorial says something. What does it say? That the demand to scrap the FMR has been most vociferously, strongly endorsed by one section of the currently conflict prone Manipur, but has also been fervently opposed by Nagaland and Mizoram, should provide a hint about the sentiments of the people in these states. Now we have a paradoxical situation. What is a paradoxical situation? You have something positive, you have something negative. Coming to this context, when you look at when you look at scrapping the FMR, if you look at a particular state, it has endorsed. If you look at two states, they have opposed. This is what I call paradoxical situation. That the demand to scrap the FMR has been most vociferously endorsed, strongly supported, positive, by one section of the currently conflict prone, disease prone, conflict prone means likely to have conflicts already. Manipur, we know. I have done so many editorials. Conflict prone Manipur, but also been fervently, but has also been fervently means strongly, enthusiastically opposed by Nagaland and Mizoram. This thing should provide a hint about the sentiments of the people in these states. Based on that, we should understand some people like, some people dislike the idea. Now he talks about Myanmar, the border country. Myanmar is in the throes problems of a civil war, with civilians from its western regions and states such as Sagaing and Chin state seeking refuge and humanitarian relief in neighboring Mizoram and Manipur. There is a problem in Myanmar and civil war. Because of that, they are trying to take refuge. Refuge means a shelter, and here it is a verb. But if you take the noun, what is the noun form? A refugee. Seeking, looking for shelter, refuge, asylum, and humanitarian relief in neighboring Mizoram and Manipur. The Mizos of Mizoram and the Kuki-Zo community in Manipur feel a kinship with Chin community and have been organizing relief for the refugees. Some sort of affinity is there. Based on that, they have been organizing relief for the refugees. Have been organizing, which tense is that? Present perfect continuous tense. The opposition to the FMR has come from Meitei majoritarian forces in the Impal Valley, who have raised the bogey of Chin refugees entering Manipur as a case of illegal migration. Someone approved because of the kinship ties, but some a particular group has opposed, and they have given a label. What is that? And which group is that? The opposition to the FMR has come from Meitei majoritarian forces in the Impal Valley, who have raised, again, raised important, the bogey of Chin refugees entering Manipur as a case of illegal migration. Refugees different, illegal migration different. Actually, here it is a question. It is something like a refugee taking refuge. That is entirely different from illegal migration, but they have termed that as illegal migration. The institution of the FMR, now the editorial talks, says, or gives information about the FMR. When was it instituted? What was the objective? The institution of the FMR as a formalized regime of the movement of citizens across a sparsely populated border, not densely populated, sparsely populated border to within 16 kilometers of it for trade and commerce was a nod to India's Act East policy. There's a particular policy, Act East policy. Based on that, keeping trade and commerce in mind, there was a nod. And 16 kilometers, that is a range along the border, sparsely populated border, not densely populated. This was also an expression of the will of people of the region who share ethnic relations but are divided by colonially drawn boundaries. Not only the government policy, but it is also the will of people of the region. Why is it the will of the people of the region who share ethnic relations, kinship ties, but unfortunately divided by colonially drawn boundaries? Initially, perhaps together, but because of the Britishers' colonially drawn boundaries, they got separated. Still, they have the kinship ties and ethnic bonds or relations. The reversal of this regime and the humongous exercise of fencing a border. Fencing a border is not an easy thing. You all remember Trump. He also wanted to construct a wall between the US and Mexico. That again an uphill task. Humongous exercise of fencing a border situated in rugged mountains and forests is a case of these two things, nothing but a case of misplaced priorities and needs a reconsideration. Main idea is being reiterated. It is nothing but misplaced priorities, and based on that needs a reconsideration. They have to rethink. On second thoughts, perhaps they may go back to the original thing. Now we'll have a look at comprehension skill related questions based on the editorial. What is the main argument of the editorial regarding the free movement regime between India and Myanmar? When you read the question, focus on the keywords. What are the keywords over here? Main argument of the editorial. Try to answer. The FMR has successfully addressed the issues of narcotics and insurgency. The FMR is unnecessary and poses a threat to national security. The FMR fosters, develops positive neighborly relations and benefits local communities. Answer is C, positive. The FMR has failed. No, not negative. All only a positive option you have to consider. So what is the answer here? C is the answer. According to the editorial, what is the ostensible reason? Tell me what is the meaning of the word ostensible. If you remember, last week we got the word ostensibly, adverbial form. Try to respond what is the meaning of ostensible. Ostensible reason provided for scrapping the free movement regime. Ostensibly, we got last week adverbial form. Here, adjective. A reason, noun, ostensible reason, adjective. What does it mean? Please answer. Apparently, evidently, presumably. That is right. Something appears to be true but may not be true. Slightly, it has a negative connotation. If you say apparently, evidently, obviously, neutral, but something appears to be true but not so, Pandu, One student has written the meaning. That's good. But what is the answer? You guys who are busy answering the question. Lack of economic benefits from cross border trade, porous borders facilitating narcotics trade and insurgent activities. Yes, porous borders facilitating narcotics, drugs trade or drug trafficking and insurgent activities. Answer is B. Wonderful. Why does the editorial argue that the reasons given for scrapping the FMR are not convincing? The government gave some reasons for scrapping the FMR, but the editorial does not take those reasons. The editorial says the reasons are not convincing. Why? Because insurgent groups have become stronger? No. Because the drug trade is solely dependent on the porous borders? No. Because weak law enforcement is a more significant factor in the drug trade. Answer is C. Because the government has not invested enough resources in border security. No. So what is the answer? C is the answer. The main reason, the main problem, lack of strong enforcement. Because weak law enforcement is a more significant factor in the drug trade. Very good. What is the editorial stance or stand on the opposition to scrapping the FMR in Manipur, Nagaland, and Mizoram? What is the editorial stance, means stand, on the opposition to scrapping? These people opposed Manipur, a particular group, Nagaland, Mizoram. The opposition is primarily based on economic concerns. The opposition is unanimous across all regions. No, some people opposed, some people endorsed. The editorial does not address the opinions of these regions. The opposition reflects regional sentiments and humanitarian concerns. More than humanitarian concerns, the editorial touches regional sentiments because they share kinship ties or ethnic relations. How does the editorial characterize the decision to fence the India Myanmar border? The idea of fencing India Myanmar border, how does the editorial characterize? What does it think? A necessary step to ensure national security, a misguided effort with misplaced priorities. Hold this one. A symbolic gesture to strengthen diplomatic ties, an effective strategy to combat cross border crime? No. So, what is the answer? Main idea in this question, a misguided effort. More than that, the exact wording, misplaced priorities. It starts with the same thing. This is all about misplaced priorities. If you have got all the five correct, wonderful. It means tell yourself you are a good listener and good at comprehension skill. Two things. You are good at listening skill, you are good at comprehension skill. Let us go. I said at the outset, today I have brought exam topics. The first five questions go with error location. A few sentences are pretty lengthy. You got to read carefully. Read the first one and try to spot the error. Four is good enough. Ah, Divya says four. Sahaja says four. Durgarao also says four. Please read question number one. I missed the last train, which I usually catch, and I have to stay at the station on my way back home yesterday. This is based on contextual awareness. A clue for you. I missed the last train, which I usually catch, and have to stay at the station on my way back home yesterday. Naidu Paidi also says 4. What is the answer for? Where is the error? I missed the last train. But here you have to look at the whole context. The whole context goes into past. This you got to be careful. But here we have one clause. The key for the clue for that usually. The word usually always goes with which tense? Please answer. Present tense. I missed the last train when yesterday. So nothing wrong. We have to use past tense. It is in past, which I usually catch. I usually catch which tense. Here it is past. Nothing wrong because the context talks about what happened yesterday. But here, this particular clause talks about habitual action. Habitual action, which tense do you use? Present tense. So, which I usually catch. Nothing wrong with that also. But because of that, again, context goes into the past. Have to is not correct. It should be had to stay at the station on my way back home yesterday. Here you have to recollect the function of the helping verb have to, has to. Third person singular has to, other pronouns have to, and past form had to. But what is the function? Try to respond. I every time I come across this, I tell the function. Tell me what is the function of an important helping verb or model. What is the function of have to or has to? I have to do this. I have to do that. You have to report to the manager. I had to submit the report. What is the function of have to or has to, either in present or had to in past? Not personal obligation. No, Naidu. Not personal obligation. Obligation, right, but not personal obligation. Personal obligation we use must. Obligation imposed by the speaker. Personal obligation must. Have to, this many a time they have given you have to have at your fingertips. Obligation imposed by. Usually I say today I'm writing. Obligation imposed by an external authority, that is a top management or a situation. Tomorrow you get the job. You go to a bank, you go to a particular office, someone receives you. He does induction, introducing your colleagues and others, and then he talks about your responsibilities. Obligation means responsibility imposed by the top management, external authority. Then that person may say, you have to report to the manager. You have to report by 8:30. You have to do this, you have to do that. That is obligation imposed by an external authority. On the other hand, situation. Imagine today is the last day to pay the electricity bill. What will I say? I have to pay the bill today. I have to go to the hospital to see someone. I have to see a doctor. These talk about situation. Very important. You got to remember. Let us go to question number two. I'm fully aware that my boss is one of those who is totally dedicated to work and proper discipline. Workaholic and discipline. Where is the error? Jaipal Reddy, two dimensions. One is external authority, the other one situation. Both you have to remember. I have to go to the station. That is personal situation. I have to pay the bill today. Situation, not external authority. I'm fully aware. Any problem here? No, that my boss is nothing wrong. But I always tell morning also I was teaching offline classes. Whenever you come across one of there are three rules you have to recollect. One expression, the basic form, one of the basic form, we have to use a plural noun and a singular verb. One of the students is writing. Usually people say one of the student is writing. No, plural noun, one of the students is interested. Second one, when you use the phrases like one of those or one of the things, one of those or one of the things, then we have to use a plural noun and a plural verb. Here you have to, people make a mistake. They think singular verb, no plural verb. What is the reason? I am fully aware this is one clause. Excuse me. One clause, I am fully aware. My boss is one of those. Another clause. Who is totally dedicated to work and proper discipline? One more clause. Answer my question in this sentence, how many errors, how many clauses are there? We have three clauses. No, No, error is not correct. There is an error. Listen very carefully. They have given in many exams. A typical student, a typical candidate, when he or she comes across a sentence like this, will focus on my boss is singular, who is singular, so things right. But actually, the third clause is not about my boss, it is about those. Answer my question, those is singular or plural? Plural. Those who is not correct. We have to say those who are dedicated to work. One of those who are dedicated to work and discipline. Here, the third clause is not about my boss, which is singular. It is about those, which is plural. Because the clause is about plural, those, then we have to use a plural verb. So, where is the error? Third part is not correct. There is an error in the third part. And the third rule, if these phrases are preceded by the word only, preceded by, I said there are three rules. One of those, one of the things, one of the employees, preceded by the word only, then we have to use a plural noun and a singular verb. For example, Ramesh is the only one of our employees who is punctual, not who is punctual, singular verb. All the three rules are very important. And here, star mark, that means usually people make a mistake over there. A lengthy sentence, read very carefully. Question number three. Excuse me. Although there has been slow and steady reduction in household reliance on poor quality fuels, the air pollution from these fuels continue to be a key factor in the deaths of these youngest infants. Where is the error? Whenever you come across a lengthy sentence, you should know what the subject is, what the object is, and you have to identify the phrases and clauses. Again, in each clause, you have to cross check the subject and verb agreement. All these things you have to do within no time. Very good. Almost all the students have got it right, those who have responded. Although there has been slow and steady reduction, there has been present perfect tense. Here we have used a primary auxiliary be as a main verb. Been is a past participle form. Nothing wrong. In household reliance on poor quality fuels, nothing wrong. In what? Steady reduction in household reliance on poor quality fuels, nothing wrong. The air pollution, here in this clause, all this is one clause. In this clause, what is the subject? The air pollution. The air pollution is a subject. From where? From these fuels continue to be a key factor in the deaths of these youngest infants. When you say, I'm sorry, here, the air pollution, singular or plural? Singular, then you cannot say continue, continues to be. Because a sentence is in present perfect tense, affirmative form, subject is third person singular, we should add s or es to the verb. Continues. Air pollution continues to be a key factor in the deaths of these youngest infants. There's an error in the third part. Third part is not correct. Go to question number 4. This is also a lengthy sentence you got to read meticulously. A delivery boy working for an e commerce platform was arrested for allegedly cheating a customer in the pretext that his order was cancelled and he would receive a refund soon. Read the sentence very carefully, understand the context. Context is also very important. A delivery boy working for an e commerce platform, nothing wrong with that, was arrested. A delivery boy working for an e commerce platform was arrested. Past tense, passive voice, nothing wrong. Why? For allegedly cheating a customer, nothing wrong with that also. in the pretext that his order was cancelled and he would receive a refund soon. No, answer is nothing wrong with the first part, nothing wrong with the second part. Third part is not correct. It is a bit difficult because it is based on two things. One, prepositional combination, the other, contextual awareness. Here we never say in the pretext, we say on the pretext, on the pretext. So, what is a phrase, prepositional phrase, on the pretext that, on the pretext that. You can also use a preposition of, on the pretext of, but on the pretext that his order was cancelled and he would receive a refund soon. Third part, there is an error and it goes with a prepositional phrase. This is also a lengthy sentence. Try to read very carefully. After a 3-week impasse between India and Germany that led to the suspension of flights between the two countries, the government of India on Wednesday announced the resumption of services. On the pretext is the standard phrase. Very good. If you read the newspapers, only then you can answer, otherwise, practically impossible. Nothing wrong with that, Maharshi. Would be, nothing wrong. After a 3-week impasse between India and Germany, no one, this is not easy in my opinion, for two reasons. One reason, a lengthy sentence. The other reason, you got to know, very good, Lakshman, first one to respond and got it right. You don't have to go beyond the first part. You can save your time. What is the word here? Correct spelling of this word? IMPASSE means what? Deadlock. Deadlock, bottleneck, dead end, impasse, they all mean the same. Deadlock is the right word. Very good. I appreciate those who have answered. And I see Ganesh also got it right. And Tripura Sundari also got it right. Yes, yes. On the condition, on the pretext means on the condition, the meaning, palu. Or on the excuse, on the condition, on the excuse, on the assumption. Any of these could be used. On a particular reason, you can also say, or based on a particular reason. I have brought para jumble. There are 6 parts. Read very carefully, but try to take elimination approach to get the topic sentence. Increasingly relegating all other modes of payments. There is no subject here. It cannot be the first one. It embraces. Pronoun cannot be the first one. Hold C. Across the country and even internationally, no subject cannot be the first one. The growth of digital payments is going to be phenomenal. Hold this one. With such versatility cannot be the first one. So between C and E, what is this about? It is about digital payments. First one should be C. Digital payments have found strong ground, especially in India, and there is a comma. Look at the punctuation. That means the sentence is not complete. It's all about digital payments. Digital payments have found strong ground. They have become extensively, they have been used extensively, especially in India, increasingly relegating all other modes of payments. Here we are talking about digital payments. Here we are talking about other modes of all other modes of payments. That means what? CA, they form one pair. CA, not E. No, no. Digital payments have found strong ground, especially in India, increasingly relegating all other modes of payments to the background. They are related. This has become popular, obviously, based on that other modes of payments have gone to the background. Yes, Jaipal Reddy, all that you have to do, don't look at 20 plus. Basically, try to get almost all correct. Then your question should be how to get let's say out of 30, almost usually I say between 18 and 21, good score. 25 plus, many students have got excellent. How to get? You have to be good at grammar, one thing. Any subject, you have to be good. When it comes to English, what are the areas? One is grammar, second one, reading comprehension skill, third one, vocabulary. So if you have the exam, first you have to be good at grammar and you have to know the 200 rules. My videos are there, 200 grammar rules. You have to be thorough with all the 200 grammar rules. Then you have to, whatever words you know, you have to consolidate. Then you have to read every day to improve your reading comprehension skill. Very simple. What is the third one? Have you answered? I was busy giving the tips. B is what? It embraces, it stands for digital payments. It embraces all kinds of operators, including direct benefit transfer by the government across the country, where across the country, and even internationally, subject to regulatory forbearance conditions. Here we can say BD one pair. After that, with such versatility and ease of settling financial transactions, the growth of digital payment is going to be phenomenal, supported by banks and fintech or financial technology companies. So the last F and E, these two one pair, these two one pair. So what is the correct order? C, A, B, D, F, E. Those who have got it right, be happy, wonderful. I have brought five idioms and try to get all the five correct. SBI mains, clerk mains, SBI usually gives five questions based on idioms. So I have brought idioms. One shot, you can get all five correct. Good. At arm's length, try to get all the five correct. At arm's length means what? One B. Very good. Keep someone at a safe distance, then we say keep him at arm's length. Whenever your score does not improve, Jaipal Reddy, every time you take a mock test, others also listen very carefully. You have been taking mocks, and let's say usually you get 15 or 17. Then you have to analyze, you have to go for objective analysis. Why am I getting only 15 or 17? Why not 25 plus? Where am I lagging behind? First, you identify the gaps or what you're not good at. And once you know you're not good at a particular area, start working on it. Then obviously your score will improve. You have to always, after taking a mock test, you have to ask yourself, why only 15? Why only 17? What went wrong? Could I answer all the questions related to RC? No, improve your RC. Could I answer all the questions related to grammar? No, improve your grammar knowledge and focus, brush up the rules. Like that, you have to. At once, beck and call, very important. All these have given many a time. What does it mean? At one service, any time. At any time, you're at someone's service, you're at his beck and call. Bad blood means what? Ill will, angry feeling. D is the answer. Black leg is not easy because many students, I also tell, black sheep rather easy. Black sheep means what? A bad person in a group. C. But black leg is an important one. Rarely, only a few know and have given. One who continues to work when others are on strike. Others are on strike, then someone goes to office. We call that guy black leg, an important one. Who has got all the five correct? And now the words we got yesterday, try to answer quickly, write the part of speech and the key word. That's enough. You don't have to go beyond. Contentious issue, contentious policy. Naidu Paidi says all the five correct. SSC also very important idioms. It's an exam topic. Contentious part of speech. When I give the combinations, you have to guess. You can guess. Contentious issue, contentious policy means what? All the five correct. Wonderful. Ganesh and Tripura Sundari. Three. How come? Usually you're good at idioms. Sometimes it happens, no problem. Controversial. Very good. Four. Who is that? Jaipal Reddy. Divya says all the five. Reliable, reliable source, reliable information. Part of speech, adjective. Please write the part of speech, the question word, and the meaning, the key word, reliable. Only one word I expect. Contentious, you have to recollect, they are there. Apple of discord, bone of contention. Close to fruition. Careful with pronunciation. Fruition means what? It is idiom. This is also idiom. We got so many yesterday. Idiom. Reliable information. You can also say authentic, genuine, dependable, bankable, rely on, bank on, depend on, count on. About to achieve success, on going to get success, going to be successful. Yes, achievement also you can say. Bone of contention, cause of dispute. One keyword to become successful, on the verge of becoming successful. Bone of contention, controversial issue, cause of dispute. Persist, verb. Persist means what? Well, it should not take so long. How come? Continue, one word. Continue, that's enough. Exist, continue, without giving up. One more. And underpin. Underpin is also a verb. Persist, regular verb. Underpin, regular verb. Support, fortify, uphold. Wonderful, Naidu. Yes. Long lasting, exist, continue, Anusha. Yes. You are talking about persist. Who is that? That is also right. And generic goes with drugs. Generic drugs means what? Adjective. Not specific, not exclusive, not exclusive for a particular company. Anyone can manufacture. Then generic drug. Affordability, noun. Affordable adjective. Something you can, inexpensive, you can say. And tussle, part of speech, noun. Literal meaning to fight with someone using your arms and body. But the editorial talks about industries and companies, pharma industries. That doesn't happen. Nothing but a fight. Only one word you have to think of. What is that word? Fight. Patenting. This is also a technical term. Patent, verb. Patenting, you can say noun or it can be an adjective, it can be a verb. Patenting. Tussle, scuffle, spar, all these, good, very good. Patenting means what? Trying to get exclusive right over something for some time, for a particular period. Getting rights, exactly. Exclusive. Monopoly, mono means single. Monopoly, part of speech, noun. Monopolistic, adjective form, means what? To have the lion's share of something, to get the major chunk of something, or to control a particular field in business, product point of view. Reciprocal, part of speech, adjective. You have to recollect reciprocal pronouns. Reciprocal, adjective, pronouns, noun. So reciprocal pronouns. Reciprocal response. Supreme authority in one's hand for which one? Reciprocal, have you answered? Inveigle, an important word. Part of speech, verb. Persuade someone to do something using deception or flattery. A negative word, not easy to remember. Ethical, adjective. Ethical behavior. What is the next one? Persuade someone to do something using deception or flattery. Even that you have to remember. Ethical means morally correct, from scratch, from the beginning. You have to start from scratch, means from the beginning. Paradigm, part of speech, noun. A typical example of something, a perfect example of something. You should also recollect the word epitome. Epitome is an important word. That's all for today. Hope you guys have got enriched. Exam topics I have brought, and tomorrow I'll get some more. Thanks for being with me till the fag end of the session. Paragon also you can say. Naidu Paidi. Lakshman also. Good night to all of you. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much. And do remember to subscribe and share.